The person who is swimming against the stream understands the strength of it. Woodrow Wilson. In your journey as a communicator and as a speaker, in some situations, you might get what we call a question flood. Your presentation is so controversial, or rather so excellent, that every single person in the room wants to ask you a question. So how do you handle question floods? That's exactly what we'll be answering on this week's episode of Master Talk. Hi everyone, I hope you're amazing. Brendan from Master Talk here, your go-to channel to mastering your talk. And today, we're going to be learning how to handle question floods so you can master that flood. So let's get into it. Number one, understand that even if you don't have control over the questions you're being asked, you always have control over the answers. Imagine this: the regular professional athlete who wins his first game, who's sitting there at the press conference. You can imagine all of the people that are asking questions. Oh, what did you think about this? How's the game? And also notice how calm that professional athlete usually is. He says, question, answer, question, answer. And the reason that this athlete is calm is because he or she knows that they can answer whatever they want to the question because they are in control of the answer, because you are the game master of your own presentation. So what does this mean for you? It means that even if you have 100 people asking you a question, this is your presentation, right? So you need to answer the number of questions that you're comfortable with. And more importantly, you need to realize that you are in control. So if you want to answer 3 questions, you're going to answer 3 questions. If you want to answer 5 questions, you can answer 5 questions. And if you want to answer whatever you want to answer, you have the liberty to do that. So hopefully that gives you some confidence to know that even if a tsunami is coming your way, you don't have to run towards it. You can just stand on the side and watch it go. Number 2, give your undivided attention to one question and focus your eye contact on that person. The best way to manage a question flood is just to acknowledge from the get-go that through your eye contact, you're showing everyone else that this is the person I'm answering. So for instance, in a press conference, once again, you can see that the sports athlete says, you're the one I want an answer from. You're the one I want the question from. So that everyone else realizes that, hey, okay, I need to back off now. And if it gets out of hand, and it happens sometimes, you can be a bit more direct and say, oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I just want to focus on this question first, and then I'll be more than happy to answer any other question. But if it really gets out of hand, which hasn't happened in my life, you can just say something super simple, like, how am I supposed to answer this question if I keep being interrupted? So this is a nice way for you to tell your audience that, hey, question floods are great. I'm happy to answer questions, but if I keep being interrupted, I won't be able to answer everything. So this way you have real strong control over the room. And I'm sure your perception here of how to handle a question has changed dramatically. Another thing I'll point out is you don't have to answer that last statement I gave, because in the vast majority of cases, your audience will always understand. Another thing I'll point out, if you're worried about how you're answering the question, in most cases, your audience will never have time to ask you a follow-up question because there's so many questions. There's so many things that people want to ask you. So you don't have to worry about any backlash. So for instance, if you're a news reporter again, and you ask a question to the professional athlete, the athlete can just respond, if that other person tries to follow up with them again, oh, well, I'm sorry, there's 10 other people here that need an answer to their question. And you shut them off right away. That's how you get rid of the pesky people that aren't very nice to you. And number 3, never forget that if you build a dam strong enough at the beginning, you'll avoid the flood entirely. Introverts come up to me all the time and say, oh, Brendan, I'm really scared of answering questions during a presentation. And I always look at them and say, hey, you're the messenger of your message. If you don't want to answer questions during your presentation, that's perfectly okay. All you need to do is build a dam at the beginning, which in other words translates to setting the right expectations when you start this presentation. So you could just say, hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here. And just for the sake of this presentation, because we'll have an hour today, I'll actually be leaving the questions at the end, so feel free to save those and write them down so we can address them later on in this presentation. Very simple. Or if you're someone like me who's extroverted and who loves chaos, you can have something more open-ended where you say, ask me a question whenever you want. I don't care. But the point is the better you set expectations at the beginning, the more you're orchestrating the presentation that you want to give, and the more that you're avoiding the flood entirely. Remember, as Woodrow Wilson told us, the person who fights against the stream has the strength to overcome it. Floods are challenging, and more importantly, question floods can be nerve-wracking. But if you realize that that flood makes you stronger, makes you more resilient, the next time a flood comes by and haunts you with a bunch of questions, you'll know how to properly manage it in a cool and concise way. As always, if you enjoyed this week's episode of Master Talk, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well to see more videos like this. And if you know one person who's having a lot of trouble controlling their room, be sure to send them this video so that they'll be one step closer to mastering their talk. See you next time, everyone. Cheers.